Mr. Chairman, honorable members of the committee, members of the audience, it is a great privilege and honor for me to be here in the Pennsylvania legislature. I have the opportunity to travel legislatures all over the country, having been in 44 of them over the last 2 years. And first, I have to compliment you on the building, one of the most beautiful in the country for sure, certainly one of the most historic. And I think that's an important place to begin my testimony because in regard to the subject of Article 5, there is no more historic place in the United States of America than the great state of Pennsylvania. The Constitution itself birthed in this great state. The very idea of Article 5 created in this state. On September 15th, 1787, at the Constitutional Convention, merely 2 days before the end of the convention, Colonel George Mason from Virginia stood and addressed the assembly. He said something I think that is incredibly important. He noted that in that incredible document, that beautiful document, our national charter, was a grave mistake. He noted that we'd given the power to Congress to propose amendments should they deem them necessary, but that we'd not given the same power to the people acting through the states. And he asked a question which I believe resonates over these 230 plus years. He asked the men assembled if they were so naive that they believed that a government that became a tyranny would ever propose amendments to restrain their own tyranny. Now, I imagine they laughed when that question was asked. Unfortunately, we don't have video of that event. We do have Madison's notes, which are pretty close to video. He was a very good note taker. Madison's notes reflect debate about almost everything at the Constitutional Convention. But on this issue, they are unbelievably short. 2 short Latin words read nin com, no comment. No debate. In other words, the men assembled found that proposition so obvious that the states would have to restrain the federal government that they did not debate the issue. And unbelievably, unanimously, they adopted the second clause of Article 5, giving us, the people, the power to act through you, our state legislators, to call a convention specifically for the purpose of restraining federal tyranny. I don't believe there's any debate today in the United States of America whether we live under federal tyranny or not. Regardless of party affiliation, Americans say, 72% of them as a matter of fact, as of the latest polling, that the federal government is too big and does too much. It is too deeply involved in our lives, and this was not the intent of the founders, nor frankly has it been the intent of Americans ever since. We have lost the constitutional limitations by, as Senator Fulmer discussed, usurpation, by accretion, by decision of the Supreme Court, by actions of Congress and presidents, unopposed, unfortunately, by the states. Today, you'll hear many people say if we could only enforce the Constitution, everything would be okay. If they would just follow the Constitution as written, everything would be okay. And there are probably many people in this audience today, maybe some of the honorable members of this committee, that are carrying pocket constitutions with them. And if that were our Constitution today, I would say that that statement would be correct. Unfortunately, if you believe that's our Constitution, I would tell you that you're incorrect. I would challenge you to order a United States Constitution from the government printing office. It's about $130, believe it or not, and you can get it, and it will arrive at your office in a heavy cardboard box because it is over 2,700 pages today. It weighs approximately 10 pounds with all the supplements, and that on the spine says the Constitution of the United States of America. Most of us are stunned to find out that that's what the federal government considers the Constitution to be. It contains every case ever issued by the Supreme Court, cases which apparently are necessary to tell us what that beautiful, simple document means, or because they believe that we are so simple we can't understand that document. Today, what we're here to do and why we're attempting to call an Article 5 Convention of States is because we believe in the original Constitution with the Bill of Rights. We believe that that was the document that was intended to govern this nation, and we believe that that document has been greatly altered, often to the discredit of the United States Supreme Court and often to the detriment of the rights of the American people over this last specifically and especially 115 years. So today our goal is to call a convention of states. Now you're going to hear a lot of testimony following me about why this is such a problem. And I'd like to address some of that in advance because I won't have a chance to do that afterwards. And so the main argument that you're going to hear is one that is particularly offensive to me being here in Pennsylvania. And it is a grave slander against the founders of the United States of America. The great framers that appeared at that convention and spent months in that convention debating and discussing and approving this incredible document apparently were men who lacked honor. This is the argument that will be made. It's a grave slander Because what it will be said is that they ran away in that convention. They ignored the instructions they were given by their states. They ignored the limitations that were put on them. I want you to imagine that time when honor was so important that these men would simply ignore the instructions given to them by their state legislatures. It's an outrageous and slanderous allegation, and in fact, it is completely untrue. It is provably untrue, and I would encourage you to read the Harvard Journal of Law and Public Policy article by Michael Ferris, who's researched that convention more than anybody else in American history, 145-page article definitively refuting the idea that the 1787 convention was a runaway convention. I'd like to put that slander to rest and defend the honor of the founders, including the great Pennsylvanian Dr. Benjamin Franklin. You will also hear slander issued towards our organization. And I would argue that the type of slander that you're going to hear is essentially a Kavanaughing. People are trying to associate us with other organizations. They're making outrageous allegations about our funding with zero evidence. This kind of slander should not be part of American political discourse. You've received emails from organizations that oppose us, making all sorts of slanderous allegations about our organization. I'm not even going to address them because they're so outrageous and offensive and without any proof that they do not require addressing. I'll close my remarks with this and then open for questions. We are in the birthplace of American liberty. It is truly an incredible honor, one of my greatest honors of my political career, to sit in this legislature and offer testimony in a place where some of the greatest Americans ever to have lived have been. This is the one state that should be leading the way. This is the state where Article 5 was actually invented, the second clause, the first clause of Article 5, where the whole Constitution was put together. The question is today, will we use the Constitution to save the Constitution, or do we lack the courage to do so? This nation was founded by men of courage, by families of courage, by women of courage, not by people who cowered in fear. The primary argument that I hear against this idea is an argument based in fear. You will hear the words, I fear, I'm afraid, I'm worried about, I'm concerned, I'm scared. Those were not words used by our founders. That's not the stance of our founders. This country was founded by courageous people. It has been rescued in the darkest times by the most courageous of our people. And today, in my opinion, some of the most courageous people in the nation are standing to call an Article 5 convention. And I hope and ask and pray that the Pennsylvania legislature will lead the way. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Go to conventionofstates.com, press the button, sign the petition. More importantly, get 10 of your friends to do the same. When you sign the petition, then that sends a letter to your state legislator. You go on the list in their district as a supporter. We deliver those lists to the state legislators. It means something to them.